You made it to week 8. If you are still watching these, I am so proud of you. I can tell you that I have done this myself far too many times than I wish to admit. And it's very common that people begin watching these videos and they make it partly through and they start feeling really good because they've taken out some of the items and they don't make it all the way through the course. So, huge high five, major congratulations for coming this far. This is a very important week. This is a week where we put it all together. It's where I'm going to encourage you to help your child do a 2-week science experiment if you haven't already done that. So week 8 and week 9, you can do a 2-week science experiment with your child or children as you're putting this together for yourself, going through the bonus videos. And it's where I want to talk about obstacles, how they show up, which I know we've already mentioned that earlier for the adult section of this week, but how that works for our kids and what's most important that they learn from us in this journey. And then last but not least, I want to talk about some tips to help kids, especially older kids, with journaling their food. If they kind of fall off the wagon or slowly but surely you get to a place where you're like, oh, maybe we don't need to do this. And then the doorway to inflammatory foods begins to open again. And again, how can we get back on that clean eating train? What do we do to help your children if they don't really want to eat super clean? They do, but they don't. They're not really sure. They're trying to figure it out. We're going to talk about journaling, food journaling for them, what that looks like, and then to have your kids do the stickman figure. Again, this is really important once they do their 2-week journey, to do the stickman figure before and the stickman figure after, so that they can see, whoa, this is helping me more ways than I realize, right? Just like if we go back to the why, what is the why for your child to do this? For my son, remember, he wanted to get clothes on, be able to put multiple layers on to go outside at recess. He didn't want to miss recess. That was his why. My why was I wanted my son to get healthy, and there were all these different things affecting his academics and home life and school life, right? But of course, if their why is solved and they feel better in their body, maybe they're more athletic, maybe they feel more confident, maybe they needed to lose a little weight and they did. Maybe they had tummy aches that were bugging them and those have gone away. Whatever it may be, it's important for them to see the full results of eating this way, because that will stick with them for a lifetime. It will help them to understand why we eat this way in general, so that as they become adults, if they ever do get ill or sick or not feeling well, they know they have the power to change that through the foods they eat and the way they live their life. It is a very important, very powerful message we want to give our children. So first, I encourage you to do the 2-week science experiment. Talk with your child now. Go back to what is the why for doing this. Remember, your why is separate from theirs. Ask if they're willing. Tell them that you've been doing this yourself and it's really fun. Explain how fun. Show how fun it is. Oh, you're eating all these fun cookies and treats and finding these cool foods, and that you really want their support to do this journey. Ask them so that they feel like they're the superhero. They're the person that has all the power, is in charge, right? They love that. Kids love that. So as a family, or you and your child, as long as your child isn't doing it alone, are going to do this 2-week science experiment where you're going to take out processed sugar and wheat, refined oils, GMOs, and what else? And cow dairy. And you're going to experiment with these different foods. They're going to taste different, right? But they're still going to taste really good. And we can have a lot of the treats and the foods we normally like, they just look different. And some of them may taste slightly different, but not that far off. Explain what they will get by doing this. And for the younger ones, of course, this is always easier because you just make their food and send it with them. I will say that they may, of course, more than likely, they're going to rebel a little bit, right? We like things to stay consistent. We do too as adults. We like to be predictive. That changes when we change our food. And the brain doesn't like that very much. So there may be a couple meltdowns. There may be a few, well, I'm not going to eat this for dinner. That is okay. Let them not eat it for dinner, but don't give them, maybe you're making them a homemade mac and cheese in my book, Piece of Cake, right? I have a recipe for mac and cheese in here. Don't give them the Annie's mac and cheese or the regular mac and cheese just because they don't like how this tastes. Say, well, let's try something else tomorrow, right? You can have a piece of fruit, or you can have some applesauce. You can have whatever it is, a healthy hot dog or something, right? Instead, but we're not going to default to the inflammatory foods. That is very important. If we do that, they will win this, okay? And they don't want to win it, but the brain that likes predictability, comfort, and control wants to win it. The kids want to get healthy, right? They just have to get over the initial hump of things tasting different and not being the same as what they've had before in terms of the food that they normally eat. Does that make sense? Please nod, tell me if that makes sense. If it doesn't, ask in the Facebook group. Okay, so very, very important, which is why you want to have them help pick out foods that you're going to make. I don't know if they'll want that, but pick out treats, right? Pick out pancakes or salads or breakfast or muffins or lasagna, whatever it may be. Maybe you're just going to go to the grocery store and get a bunch of different types of food so they can help pick out, you know, we need ketchup, we need ice cream, we want bars for school snacks, we want pancakes for breakfast, different snacks and cookies that they can have, right? So on. It's really important that they are a part of this. If you can get them in the kitchen cooking with you, all the better, because they then have this pride for making something and trying it is more exciting. Okay, so that is important. 2-week science experiment. Take all the foods out. They're going to do it with you. You're just going to see how you feel. There's no pressure, no judgment, but we are going to stay really clean for 2 weeks. And put it down on the calendar, mark it off like an advent calendar every day, check it off so that your kids can see how well they're progressing. Remember, there will be detox, so go back to the week on detoxing. Remember the importance of drinking water, like all of these components. If that feels totally overwhelming, or if your kid doesn't have a real chronic illness, remember my son had a severe sensory condition and I needed action right here, right now. So with that, I totally cooked all breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, snacks, everything for 2 weeks. If he went to a birthday party, I made him a cupcake, or I would get him an extra toy since he wasn't having cake, or he could choose, right? He could choose a treat from the grocery store. But we were 100% in integrity, and that is what I recommend if you guys can pull it off. If your child has a severe chronic health issue, I absolutely recommend that. If your child is really healthy and you're pretty healthy, and again, you're doing this just for preventative health and just because you're really interested in nutrition, awesome, right? You are going to prevent so many possible illnesses or health conditions down the road. In which case, though, there's not as much urgency to do 2 weeks straight. It will give you more data. It will be fascinating. I highly encourage it if you can. But if that feels overwhelming, take 1 week at a time. First, take out processed sugar, then refine or wheat, just like we did down this journey with your kids. It's really up to you how you want to use this. I just know from years of coaching families and individuals, as well as being a mom myself with my children, that when you do the 2-week science experiment, so much magic takes place. Okay, that is that. The next thing I want to talk about, what happens if and when your kids fall off the wagon. Maybe at the end of the 2 weeks, your kids are like, it's a birthday party, Mom, and we did the 2 weeks, and yeah, we feel better, but it'll be okay to just have one piece of cake. I'm going to my best friend's birthday. It's so important that we involve our kids in helping them make the decisions for themselves. If we just say no, 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 then they are going to have food issues. And I struggle with this because it is a fine line between guiding and facilitating, helping our kids arrive at a well thought through answer, and also being the parent that says, nope, you can't have that, you have to have this, right? So this is why these 2 weeks are really important. Once those 2 weeks are up, their body is now at the place where it's beginning to regenerate. So the inflammation has just left the body from those top inflammatory foods, and the cells are just beginning to regenerate. So this is not how good they could feel. This is just the very beginning of what's possible. But it's usually enough for them to feel a significant difference in their body if we keep coming back to that. How's your body feeling? Oh, I noticed you slept well. Wow, you ran so fast yesterday. That must be because you're eating so clean. Whoa, I'm so impressed. Those clean cookies, man, they make your muscles strong. Or maybe they're doing really well in sports. They're focusing more at school. Their skin sensory issue is improving, whatever it may be. Your job is to be a broken record and to continue connecting out loud to them. Hey, it's amazing. Every time you drink that water, I can see that you are able to listen so much more. But really, you want to go back to their why, right? I can't believe how quickly you put on your clothes to go outside at recess. I've never seen you get dressed that quickly before. That's amazing. That's because of the foods you're eating. Did you know that? Those healthy choices you're making? High five. That is so cool. Hey, we should find even another fun treat to make. Would you want to do that? Like, use those opportunities to leverage diving deeper into this world of anti-inflammatory eating with your kids, okay? As they are eating clean and feeling good, connect it to their why. And if there's things they're excited about that weren't their why, that they're just discovering, my tummy doesn't hurt anymore, connect that to the food they're eating, connect that to the way they're drinking their water, connect it to the clean protein that they're eating, all of those components. Connect it to the way they are taking care of their self over and over and over. My son is 10 years old. He's been eating this way for 9 years. I continually connect how he's feeling, whether it's poor or great, based off of the foods that he's eating, how much water he's drinking, if he's resting, if he's moving his body, everything we've talked about this. He knows without a doubt what makes his body feel good. He doesn't always make a choice to follow what feels good, especially as he's getting older, right? He's 10 and a half now. But he is absolutely clear that when he eats something inflammatory, he gets dark bags under his eyes, a lot of mucus shows up, and he doesn't feel good. He has a difficult time focusing. He gets emotional. He knows all of these things. It's so cool. So that when he gets older, how many of us have had these mystery illnesses, these mystery chronic conditions, and we can't figure out what it is, and we feel like something's wrong with our body, and we feel like we're a victim? I'm going to cry. You guys, this is not going to happen to your children. They are going to know exactly what's going on. There's inflammation in my body. It's showing up because I ate this way, or I didn't sleep, or I didn't drink water. And I know exactly what to do to solve it. That is the key. That is what we want our kids to walk away with. Not as some weird diet thing mom did, or dad did, or grandma and grandpa did. This is a way for you to help your children become empowered and knowledgeable so that they can control their health for the rest of their lives. They know exactly what to do. Such a gift. Okay. That is the big thing I wanted to say. Just keep being a broken record. Keep sharing how the things that they're eating is making a huge, huge impact. And if it's bad, right, if they choose to eat something, say they go to their best friends and they have a piece of birthday cake and they come home and their skin, they try to get dressed to go outside and their skin is feeling really uncomfortable and they're having a hard time getting dressed. For example, what happened to my son, then I stop. Again, no judgment. Oh, look at you. It's because you made a bad choice. That is an easy place to fall into, especially when you've been doing this a long time. I do it sometimes. I don't mean to. It's not what we want to do. We really want to show up into this space of non-judgment. Non-judgmental, simply looking at it as data. Oh, wow, honey. I can see that your skin's not feeling good, or your tummy's hurting, or you have a headache, or you're feeling emotional, whatever it is, those areas that their bodies are predisposed to when it comes to inflammation, right? It's really interesting that you had a piece of cake at your friend's birthday and there was processed sugar and wheat and refined oils and probably even some cow dairy, those things that cause inflammation and chemicals and toxins in our body. And now your skin doesn't feel good. Isn't that interesting? It's really amazing how much food can affect us, isn't it? Wow. Do you want to try and feel better right away? Like, you know how good we can feel. Let's drink a whole bunch of water and get some clean protein, because anytime we eat sweets like that, we're going to crave more. And I know you're going to crave more. And I want to make sure you have lots of clean treats on hand and clean protein. And mommy's going to help you the whole entire time, because I know what it's like to have those cravings. But I also know how important it is for you to get your clothes on to be able to go outside at recess. So you want me to help you? Should we do this together? All right, bud, let's do this. Do you hear how that conversation is all about joining your child, helping them see what happened without judgment, coming together to support them and saying, we got this together. I know what's going to happen. You're going to have more cravings now, and your skin might feel even more uncomfortable for a week or two. And I really want to support you in this. This is an experiment. We just have to see what happens in our body. And I think I can help you. Let's make sure we have some clean treats. Let's get some clean protein and drink lots of water. This is very, very important. As your children get older, I'm just looking at my notes here. As your children get older, one of the things you can also do is, if they're like, okay, I got this, mom, I'm eating clean, and maybe they eat clean 70, 80% of the time, or maybe they start off with 90 and then it goes to 80 and then 70 and then 60, which, by the way, is what happens to almost every human who applies this way of eating over time, unless they have support, right? They have their parents supporting them, or they have a coach supporting them. Over time, we kind of just tend to lose sight, most of us. And so one of the things we can do is say, hey, would you be willing, especially if a kid upper elementary school, middle school, high school, why don't you journal? Let's journal your food. You can choose whatever you want to eat, because around that age, they have a lot of freedom. That all of a sudden there's more access to money, whether it's from jobs they're doing or friends or allowance. They have more freedom to go into stores, at sports activities. There's more options and independence for them to choose what to eat. They're going to lunches and they can choose snacks at middle school. Like, there's just a lot more opportunity for them to eat other things, where this becomes, we have to support them and help them have the tools while they're still making these choices independently. So what I recommend in that case is just saying, after they've done the 2 weeks and really understand how good they can feel, right? If you find that they're sliding backwards a little bit, say, hey, let's just write down the food. I promise not to bug you. I promise not to nag you. Again, no judgments is key, you guys. It's key. No judgments. We're just looking at data. We're scientists and we're looking at data. So will you write down every single thing you eat, whether it's bites or meals or whatever, how much water you drank? Put it on your phone, write it on a notebook, I don't care. And then every day write down how you're feeling. And if you're feeling great, they could even do a score of 1 to 10. 1 is terrible, 10 is they feel awesome, and then write just a couple little words or notes to remind them, so that if they're like, ooh, I don't feel so hot, I'm not sleeping well, I have anxiety, my stomach is really hurting me, my skin feels uncomfortable, then after we can go back and maybe once a week we look at it, or every 3 or 4 days we look at it and say, oh, wow, isn't that really interesting? There's a pattern here. When I eat something that's inflammatory, I don't feel good. When I'm eating really well, I feel good. Remember, it takes 2 weeks to push the inflammation out. So they're going to feel not good more than they're going to feel good, because they have to stay clean for 2 weeks to get that inflammation out and come back to kind of ground zero, so to speak, right? Come back to their starting point. Okay, that is all. The next video I'm going to do will be short, and it's your next steps, what to do next, where to go in this beautiful healing journey of yours and your family's. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm so proud of you guys. Take care.